Good afternoon. We have our first session here. We're going to have to call this meeting to order from the Roswell City Council. Thank you to Mr. Williams and the county for letting us use their building. It's nice. So if the clerk would call the roll, please.
Councilor Arnold. Present. Councilor Cortez.
Present.
Councilor Halverson.
Here.
Councilor Moore.
Here.
Councilor Marubo. Councilor Korn.
Here.
Councilor Hildebrand.
Present.
Councilor Cabin.
Here.
Councilor Oropesa will be absent today, and Councilor Johnson.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay, so we've eight, so we have two absent, and Carlos is, we don't know if he's sick or here.
I haven't heard from him.
Well, if we could, maybe Councilor Moore, if you'd lead us in the prayer, and we have Councilor Arnold, if you'd lead us in the pledge, and you know, keep Juan and his family in your prayers, please.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for allowing each and every one of us to be here this afternoon. Father God, we thank you for the authority that you've given us, God. I ask you that you be with us as we make these decisions for the city, God. We ask that you bless our country, our city, our state, Father God, in a special way. Father God, just look over or Councilor Opesa's wife and and him, God, strengthen them, give them peace that surpasses all understanding. And anybody else that's dealing with health, God, continue to bless our police and our firemen in the city of Roswell and all over. Thank you for all your many blessings. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome everybody here. I tell you, it's nice to be home. It's nice to be someplace where it was quiet. I went to Baltimore and I spent 7 days with 4 under 7. And it was cold in Baltimore, and I'm going to tell you, it was loud in the house. It was so, even no matter what you say, even Councilman Korn will be a relief to hear him. It won't be as loud as Councilman Korn, but you know, they were more consistent than he was, so it's real good. He's always on me all the time, but you know, he just can't scream as loud as those little girls. So, thank you all for here. So we'll have, we'll move on approval of the agenda. We have Council Lady Halverson.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the agenda for the February 13th, 2025 regular city council meeting with the following changes. Full item 16, resolution 2506, budget adjustment off the consent agenda and place it after item 25, granting city management authority to enter into the first amended lease with D-Home.
Second.
We go before 25?
After.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on moving that? Any discussion? Okay. Is there any objection? So we better have a roll call probably for that, probably to approve the agenda as amended. If the clerk would call the roll.
Councilor Arnold.
Yes.
Councilor Cortez.
Aye.
Councilor Halverson.
Yes.
Councilor Moore.
Yes.
Councilor Korn.
Yes.
Councilor Hildebrand.
Aye.
Councilor Cabin.
Yes.
Councilor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Glad you missed me, Mayor. Bobby, I miss you every day. All right, so next we have next is the approval of the Consent agenda for the February 13th meeting. Councilor Halverson.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended for the February 13th, 2025 regular city council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Halverson, second by Councilor Johnson. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Arnold?
Yes.
Counselor Cortez?
Aye.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Counselor Hildebrand?
Aye.
Counselor Cavan?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, so. Okay, next. I will go to item 21. And, let's do it, no time for okay. All right, okay. If we could have Miss Bobby Thompson for the Air Center updates, please. I know you have Mr. Bud's uncle's here too, so Ms. Thompson, if you go ahead.
Well, good afternoon. First of all, if any of you are able to come to the airport this weekend, you may notice some strange things in the terminal. It has been decorated in red and black for the Roswell High School. The drill team is going to the national competition. We wanted them to know that we're cheering them on. So we've got a lot of signs and coloring things up. Then the first thing I'd like to speak about is to give you a sturdy steel update on the grandstands. So the folks are in town, we're getting rebar arrival, we're getting pieces and parts of the grandstands. They have a number of people here. The site has been staked. We know exactly where they're going. And everything's looking good on that. They're still waiting on the permit from the state, but they hope to have that by Monday. And we'll certainly let you know when the groundbreaking occurs in case you'd like to attend that. Also, and one thing I said in a meeting just before this was a number that I want to share with you. 208. 208 days until the air races. But I also have some other really great numbers. So flight operation-wise, this month is going to get very busy. On Monday, there will be 30 Navy jets arrive. They'll be flying 150 sorties per day. Now we already have about 30 military personnel in the field getting things ready. We have some transport aircraft coming in tomorrow and Saturday, bringing in equipment and supplies for them. So that activity is definitely going to pick up. We've also been talking with Boeing. They want to do some brake testing. They'll be bringing in 777s and 737 MAX. Both of those aircraft, you may not read as much about airplanes as I do, but both of those aircraft have sort of been taken out of service for a while. Boeing's hoping to get those back in service because the airlines are definitely running short on equipment. So they hope that with the brake testing, then they're doing some more flight testing in Hawaii. We're spending about 10, 12 days here and a month in Hawaii. Interesting. So airport flight operations for January, we're only 1,583, which was about 800 less than January of last year, but that was mostly due to weather, and of course that's going to take a big jump in February as that increases. And then passenger boardings, I'm happy to report the passenger boardings, 24 were 2408. This January, 4,794. So we're definitely tracking correctly there. Also, when it comes to last year, we had just shy of 96,000 enplanements here. And that is a considerable jump of about 8%, which is considered very good. Now, they added 71 flights last year, but our total load factors still stayed about 78%. So it shows that our people are flying the aircraft. Now we just need them to stay on time, right? Operating revenue for the month of January. Revenue was $389,480.04. Expenses were $284,049.49, with a net of $105,430.55. However, I'm going to get a view into the future. We've been working very hard in recent months to clean up some receivables and clean up some old debts due. And yesterday, and thank Tony very much, she was very helpful, we collected some debts from, remember the hail back in July of 21, July 11th of 21? Well, there was still some money due from the insurance company. You know how they are, pay your premium ahead of time, but we'll be a little slow paying you. So yesterday, we collected $771,892.15.
Thank you, Tony.
Aircraft parking, we're down a little bit in numbers. We have 202 aircraft there, but that number changes on a pretty regular basis. It depends on how many are getting crushed, how many are getting put back into service. So that number tends to float up and down all the time. So I don't believe there's a concern there. And we're talking with Air Wisconsin, who wants to bring some aircraft in and not put them under air sale like they have in the past. And of course, we will work with them. And on our strategic plan report, this was how we reported to the AAC this month. There have been a couple of changes you will notice. One of the things in the fourth quarter of 2024 was to work on hiring a new airport director. And by January, we hope to have interviews completed. And by March, we hope to have selected someone. So as you may have read, that changed just a little bit. And thank you very much. I'm very happy to be your new airport director. So we're still working like all the other departments with the flood mitigation and getting things repaired. Hopefully we'll be able to have the terminal worked on very soon. Everything's cleaned up and ready for repairs. And like everyone else, of course, we have to work through that process, which can tend to be very, very slow. The FBO had some recent changes. Monday of this week, they let go of their general manager. They're going to bring in some managers from their other locations. AFLAT has 27 locations across the country, and they may trust them for being here. In the meantime, they have a regional director that's helping to fill in because of all the activity we have coming up with Navy and with Boeing, and then HondaJet wants to come in and do some tests as well. So we'll keep working on those things and keep reporting on the strategic plan. And then, of course, there's a lot of things going on with the air races, and as I mentioned, 208. On the 27th, Fred Telly, the chairman of the races, will be speaking at Main Street, Roswell. We hope that some of you will be able to attend and answering questions and bringing everyone up to date on the activity. And of course, I stand ready to answer any questions you might have on that today. And other than that, that's my report, and I will switch to Mr. Compo.
Bobby. Oh, Mr. Collins. How are you?
I'm good. Good afternoon, Mayor Jennings and city councilors. The AAC held our February meeting on Tuesday, February the 4th. We had several tenants in attendance at the meeting, and Amy Butler, who manages air sale here, provided information to the commission reference current activities at air sale. The commission received updates on 10 currently funded projects at the Air Center, and I'll address several of these projects for you this afternoon. The ADB lighting project to repair and improve runway lighting continues with some new improvements taking place on a monthly basis. The contractor provided the commissioners with a map showing where the work has already been accomplished. And what they're doing is they're replacing wiring and lighting, just so the commission, or the commission knows, most of it was original when Walker Air Force Base was built. So obviously we've had to do some updating and upgrading to get that done. The final task force meeting for the airport master plan is scheduled for February 18th, this coming week. Lochner Engineering anticipates completion of the master plan in late March or early April. The enlarged BLM loading pit is expected to be completed prior to the end of April and to be available for use by BLM for the upcoming fire season. This loading pit upgrade will allow much quicker turnaround for fire retardant dropping aircraft and to provide more efficient use for those aircraft. The BLM taxiway project, which will also provide for more efficient use of aircraft, will not be started until the end of September this year to ensure that there's no interference with aircraft during the fire season. This project will hopefully be completed towards the end of 2025. The MAP apron project, rehabilitation project, which is mostly in front of the terminal building, will be coordinated to have limited impact on commercial flights and will have no impact on the Navy flights, as Bobby had mentioned, will be starting this coming week. The new electrical vault construction for the runway lighting will hopefully begin towards the end of May. This project should provide much better reliability for the runway lighting. The drawings for the restroom updates in the terminal building were received by the commission and approved. Now, you may not want to hear about restroom drawings, but this is a pretty big project. It's grant funded. Hopefully, with the drawings completed, Moles and Corbin can get the construction drawings completed and ready to go. We're hoping to put it out to bid by March the 1st. Renovation will hopefully begin for the restrooms then by early April. Moles and Corbin has been especially helpful. We asked them to be, and they have been, in trying to complete this project as quickly as possible. This project will fully renovate the 2 ground floor restrooms that are west of the stairway that goes up to the 2nd floor. It will also renovate and enlarge the single restroom. Most people probably don't even know about that one being there. At the east end of the terminal building, next to the baggage claim area. This portion of the project will completely renovate the single restroom that is there now and make it handicap accessible. It will also add another restroom so that there will be one handicap accessible male restroom and one for females also. The renovation of these restrooms will significantly improve passenger service in our terminal. The last item that I want to mention, Bobby had mentioned it briefly, and encourage as many of you as possible to attend, is the unveiling of the monument at our air center that is a memorial to the 8 men who were killed during the construction of the Atlas missile silos around Roswell in the 1960s. This will take place at 1:30 this coming Sunday afternoon at the Air Center in front of the terminal building. I stand for any questions.
Yes, do we have any questions?
I don't have a question or comments. I want to thank Bobby and Bud for their work on the monument project. I think it's going to be great. I know, Bobby, you said today we have carnations and stuff, so it's going to be a good event. And I sent the invite to all the councilors.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bobby, one thing, I don't know how many people know, but the president in his orders have, I guess, put the animal damage control people on notice that they are going to be relieved of their jobs and their opportunities to private employment. The way and why that is significant, being someone who's been around animal damage control has been something that's been very vital to our economic area here because of the number of mountain lions and coyotes we have for the sheep industry. When we used to have hundreds of thousands of sheep in Chaves County, and you don't have that anymore because of the mountain lions and their propensity to kill animals. But the other victims of that, there are a number of airports around, including the 3 military bases, Roswell, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and San Juan, I think are all going to be severely impacted on that because those individuals, not only do they keep coyotes and things off the runways if they happen to get through the fence, or deer or whatever, they also take care of an awful lot of birds. And bird strikes are something that have been hasn't been 2 months, I don't think, since we had a plane that went down because of bird strikes. And so I'm a little bit concerned about that as far as an airport safety when we have so much activity going through our airport and those, I don't know how well if the piston plane does better, the little, I guess they're jet powered engines or what they're on, they're still the same prop planes that the Navy brings in. And I don't know how, if they consume a bird better than one of the other just regular, turbine non-propellered jets do. But I think that's something that we need to really be in tune with, and we should certainly notify our congressional delegation of the amount of danger that might increase to those who fly into Mexico for whatever reason. And I would, I mean, we don't have much sheep left in this country, but we don't have any sheep left. But that is a very significant issue, and also some of the other animals that are out there that are predators are going to be something that are very, in ball fields and everything else, whether they're gophers or prairie dogs or whatever, they do have a hindrance on ball fields for children. So there's some things we should look at.
Yeah, I was very glad that we were able to proceed with our fence repair after the flooding because that's where animals get into the airport, especially on the west side. And then just as recently as this week, we've been putting spikes on rooftops to prevent birds from wanting to nest there because we do have pigeons, and pigeons are big enough to do damage. And then we also put out some feeders that have food in them that aren't pleasant for the birds. So it's a constant vigilant thing we have to do, but thank you for mentioning it, sir.
Yeah. Just as an important sidelight, the last time the county commission had a 2-to-1 majority was in 1974 to 76. And at that time, I happened to be in the majority. And then when it changed from 76 to 78, I was in the minority. And the county commission put me in the back of all the cars. Whenever we went anyway, they always put me and the women in the back seat. And they also put me in charge of the pigeons at the courthouse. And I learned a lot of things there. You can give pigeons corn laced with mercury, which is a real bad thing. And if they eat too much, they lose all fear of humans, and they will fly right down and land on your shoulder and do whatever they were going to do when they were flying over. And if you give them just enough, they will fly off and leave a distress call, and all the other pigeons will go with them. So it's just one thing I happened to learn in a political career that most people never ever find out, that you happen to know something and learn things in the career of politics that you didn't expect to know. So anyway, so I don't think there could be anyone that could top that, even Bobby. But,
You play with Mercury too much?
I'm talking about the Bobby. I can get him to look up. Oh, sorry, he was in the house. They didn't have much of a sense of humor. Okay. So, moving right along, do we have anyone who would care to speak? Let's see. No, we've got to do, we've got to do. Employee out-of-state travel agreements on item 22. Let's see, we have, Madam Clerk. Come on.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, for resolution 2455, all out-of-state travel need to be communicated with the city council prior to travel. In your packet, you have a list of people that are traveling out of state, and I believe the supervisors are here if you have any questions.
Okay. Okay, so are there any questions of anyone on item 22 on approving the out-of-state travel for those individuals? And is there any questions, any agreement, disagreements? Saying none, it will be approved. Okay. Next we have, Mr. Cole, Chad, for item 23, recognition of Andrew Valdez for earning the Max in Summerlot Award.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Jennings, members of the council. The New Mexico Water and Wastewater Association is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the education and science of protecting the public health and environment by promoting the operation, performance evaluation, and management of New Mexico's water and wastewater utilities. The association provides professional training and certification of utility operations and management personnel. In its efforts to promote the excellence of these public utility operations, the New Mexico Water and Wastewater Association awards both facility and personnel awards to deserving recipients. Each year, the Max in Summerlot Award is given to the water or wastewater facility in the state, singular, that has demonstrated the highest excellence in operations, maintenance, management, safety, and professionalism of the system. This year's New Mexico Water and Wastewater Association Max in Summerlot Award recipient is Andrew Valdez and his team of management and operations at the City of Roswell's wastewater treatment facility. We are honored as a city to recognize Mr. Andrew Valdez. Andrew, could you come on up? Andrew, you got some team members? Come on up, please. We are honored as a city to recognize Mr. Valdez and his team at the wastewater treatment facility for the awards recognition of their demonstrated commitment to excellence and continuing improvement in the critical operations and management of the city's wastewater treatment facility. You got a plaque and everything.
I'm just going to take a few minutes. And I'll go down.
Thank you.
Most people probably don't know that our people who work in our water, wastewater, solid waste, they all have to be certified, and they go through a lot of training to get it. And it takes a lot to keep people certified. And,
Andrew, good job.
you know,
Thank you. Good job.
Andrew just took over the department, so I've had 2 dealings with him so far. They've all been very positive. So, you know, I'm looking forward to continue working with him. And the staff. And, you know, when you think about being in this office, you really learn how many people really are truly, totally dedicated to the health and well-being of our community. And it's a pleasure to have them, and especially to have them recognized for the job they do. Okay. Thank you all very much. And next, we have signed up here to speak. We have Karina Yeager. Is she here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, on your FEMA? I believe she'd like to speak on FEMA.
Well, I do have yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mayor, councilors, officials.
You have to give your name and address, I'm sorry.
Yes, and I'm Karina Yeager, living in the South Historic District, in the flood zone between Hondo River and Spring River, right in the middle there, 205 South Lee, to be more specific, Roswell, New Mexico. Well, what got my attention in the newspaper yesterday was the item here on the agenda, 26, approval of ratification, City of Roswell, New Mexico disaster declaration. And I commend you doing that. Now, most of my neighbors, including myself, were flooded either in the crawl space, like myself, or then in the basements, losing the heating and cooling facilities. Some have received compensation from FEMA, some have not. For example, I received a letter today saying FEMA needs me to update my application. I thought I had already given everything to them, so anyway, that remains to be seen. But I have one neighbor, not too far from myself, by the First Street and North Lee. She has $40,000 worth of damage. The water came under her floor and to the up to the bedroom floor, so she could feel the damage there, the water, and she actually got very, very ill. And because she has not heard anything, she's in a kind of a limbo, what to do there. She has applied to FEMA. So now I don't have any, how to say, I can't answer any of your questions. I'm just saying that if this New Mexico disaster declaration referring to City of Roswell, are you gonna include some help or compensation possibly for the flood-stricken neighborhoods, should I say? So that is my question to you. I don't expect an answer right now here, but just think about it. And then otherwise, of course, it's wonderful to hear about issues that I didn't know about, like the pigeons, and then the future air races. We have a bright future ahead here in Roswell, New Mexico. So I'm grateful for all you do, the water issues, the levees, the dams, you know, whatever we can do. I also walk by I'm finished in a minute. I walk by the Spring River Trail, and that still looks a lot like it needs a lot of debris removal or mitigation. Thank you for your attention. Have a wonderful day. Valentine's Day tomorrow, and this is such a lovely and cozy chambers here. Thank you.
Yes. Council Lady Halverson.
Thank you, Karina. So first off, the Spring River Trail, I know they're working on that, but it's in the plans. They worry about the major structures first.
Yeah.
Second of all, for the entire community, the Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico is helping the citizens with their money. So ask your neighbor or your friend,
Yeah.
if she contacts CASA, I know CASA is like for kids, but they're actually handling the applications for the Community Foundation here, and they've been helping the community a lot. And as for your business, I've been collecting information this week to try to get them to help the businesses. But there's resources out there, just a lot of people don't know, and I can't speak for FEMA on what's going on there, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and then next we have Audrey Armio and Scott. Now, sorry about that, they're from the Armio County Group. We'll have them, we're gonna have them in a audit here in just a little bit. I don't know if they wanted to address the committee at this time or not. Okay, so we'll catch us in a little bit. So I guess that being the case, then we will have to go into close. You want to do the others first, or we go into closed session?
Closed session.
Closed session. We'll have to go into closed session, and I'm sorry, but we'll try to be out as quick as we can. But we have to discuss the audit that we have coming, and that Armio County Group is here for us to present to us in this state audit. Yeah. So is there a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I move we go into a closed session pursuant to NMSA 1978-1015-1H78 to discuss attorney-client privilege pertaining to litigation threatened or pending against the city and discussion of the purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights and per the state audit rule.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All those in, need to have a roll call, voice vote? Roll call. All right, if the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Arnold? Yes. Counselor Cortez?
Aye.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Counselor Hildebrand?
Aye.
Counselor Cabin?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 1A, affirmative, none negative. We're gonna go into closed session. We're going to this one, I believe. That's all right, I want the other side. We'll be out as soon as we can.
It's gonna get spicy on us.
My daughter's there. My daughter's there. And she certainly. Well, that's what she is.
Yes, sir.
Counselor Bateman here, he's gone, well, should we send somebody to the police to pick him up? Have we never done that before in council? Okay, he's coming, I saw his shadow. Come back to order. Okay, so now we need to have a motion to call us back into order.
Mr. Mayor, for the record, council is back in an open session at 4:30, 4:32 PM. No action was taken and no votes were cast.
Okay, so. Now we're on. Okay, item 25. Okay, it's on. Okay, in our packet, it's page 194, he said, so. Yeah, so, okay. Okay, Councilwoman Halverson.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we grant city manager the authority to enter into first amended lease with Dean Baldwin for building 1083.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second by Councilman Hildebrand.
Trying to make some money,
When we get there. Okay. So, Councilor Eintema, would you care to expound anything on this?
This is a lease that is properly being submitted to the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Short and sweet, I like it.
Okay, so is there any further discussions needed by anyone on this lease? Okay, on a motion by Council Lady Halverson, a second by Councilman Hildebrand. If the clerk would call the roll, please. I'm reminding you, you have to have 6 councilors to pass this to. Okay, clerk would call the roll, please.
Mr. Mayor, for the record, Councilor Marujo arrived at 3:56.
Thank you for the record, 356.
Councilor Arnold?
Yes.
Councilor Cortez? Aye. Councilor Halverson?
Yes.
Councilor Moore?
Yes.
Councilor Marujo?
Yes.
Councilor Corn?
Yes.
Councilor Hildebrand?
Aye.
Councilor Cavan?
Yes.
Councilor Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
9-0, okay. Next we have item 26 for the Councilman Halverson.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the approval.
Excuse me,
Article number 16.
we're on item 16.
Oh, that's right. 16.
Hold on.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I move you approve Resolution 2506, adoption of Resolution 2506, approving the budget adjustment for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. According to your motion.
okay, we have a motion to adopt resolution 25-06.
Second.
Okay, Council Lady, second by Councilman Smallwood.
I know,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Corn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've got a little bit of amendment here. We can do this one of 2 ways. We can either use the handed out document in front of you, just make a city council floor amendment, or I can amend the number that is incorrect in your packet. Under the second whereas, it's the second number that indicates 5528 46718, which needs to be 5530 46718. So it's $2,000.
Okay, that's on the back page. On page 150 is the one that is incorrect.
I'm sorry.
So it should be 5528 on the second whereas down, the first dollar sign in the, well anyway, and the second whereas, the first dollar sign at 5528467,
It's actually the second dollar
and
sign.
there's $2,000 difference.
Well, we need to make this amendment before we proceed to the final
Would
one.
you like to just amend the existing motion that's there to increase it by the first, the whereas to increase it by $2,000 to $5,530,467.18?
Okay, we'll do, I make that motion, Mr. Mayor, that on line, I don't know, we don't use lines here, but on the second whereas, second line, amend the 5528,467.18 to read 5,530,467.18. That's my motion.
Second.
You okay? We have a motion by Councilor Corn to change that number, to increase it by $2,000. And is there any discussion among the council? We do a voice vote, okay? All those in favor of changing that number to 5530,467.18, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, by unanimous consent, it's been changed. Now we're back on the original motion, so on item 16, the original motion. So on a motion by council, any further discussion?
As amended.
Yeah, any further discussion? Seeing none, on, for adoption, resolution 25-06 as amended, on a motion by Councilman Corn, seconded by Councilor Arnold. If the clerk would please call the roll. I remind you it takes 6 members.
Corn needs to make the motion.
Or Corn,
He needs to make it because I made it, but it's his motion.
well, we just amended it.
Now it's amended.
Now it's
I know,
amended.
but the original motion I made, but it should have been yours.
Oh, well, I had him down.
You got it down.
Okay.
What do you need?
We're good.
Okay,
Yes.
Make sure it's all right.
okay, so the clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Arnold? Yes. Counselor Cortez?
Aye.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Counselor Marujo?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Counselor Hildenbrand?
Aye.
Counselor Cavan?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Okay, so now we're back to item 26.
214.
Okay, 214. Councilor Halverson for approval of the approval of the ratification of the City of Roswell disaster declaration.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the ratification of the City of Roswell, New Mexico disaster declaration.
The motion by Councilor Halverson, seconded by.
Second.
No? You had never done it with it.
No, I haven't.
Let him have it.
I get to clarify what after, that's my first second.
Okay, we're finally participating.
Yes, sir. Second.
Second by Councilor Cortez. How do you want to be, Cortex or Cortez?
I think I would prefer Cortez.
Sorry, oh well, you know, Councilman Howard. I come up, it'll be all right.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this declaration was at the request of Homeland Security to let them clean up the waterways. It's a formality.
Is there any questions of anyone who care to speak for or against it? And this is to allow us to clean up the right-of-ways have already started. I think the contract is 9 or 12 million. 9 million or 12?
I'm not certain on the total amount of the contract. I don't think we know how far it will go.
Okay, okay, so if it's seeing no discussion, if the clerk will call the roll, it takes majority of members. Do you want to do, well, you can do a voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, by a vote of 9, affirmative, it's passed. Okay, next we have item 27. Councilor Corn, the resolution adoption, 25-0, instructing general fund departments to maintain the 2% savings. Councilman Corn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move adoption of resolution 2508 to instruct the general fund departments to maintain the 2% savings last part of this fiscal year.
We have a motion by Councilor Corn. In the second, is there a second?
Yeah, down here. Whoever wants to do it.
That's what that,
Okay.
And second by Councilor Eddie Moore. Okay, is there, okay, so, is there any discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Corr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've spent several days going through all these documents sitting in front of me. This is our budgets starting back in 2020. Present one's right there. This is what I learned. In the 2021 budget, FY21, we had revenue of $36.4 million and expenses of, now this, I'm just talking about the general fund, okay? I'm not talking about the entire budget, I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm just talking about the general fund. And we had expenses of 32.7, which means that we closed the books with 2.2 million to the good. 21-22, we had $44 million of revenue, and we had $38.4 million worth of expense for a positive outcome of 6.1. Then in 22-23, FY23, that's what you want to use, we had revenue, I may have these backwards. Hold on a minute. I got the book right here. Yeah, we had revenue of 37.5, excuse me, and expenditures of 43,400,000 for a deficit of $6 million. 23-24, we had revenues of 43.7, expenditures of 50.7 million for a negative $7 million. This is interesting. 24-25, our expected revenues was 43.7, exact same numbers as the previous year, and we had the same expenditure of 50.7. So, current year, 43, yeah, we're 47.8, that's this book right here, and expenditures estimated at 55.7 for negative 11. Interesting thing, Mr. Mayor. As you recall, we said, oh, let's just use the 23 budget to do 25. My response when I first heard of that was the budget didn't work in 23. What makes you think it's going to work in 25? I got no response. Additionally, with this year's budget, we left out $1.4 million, actually 1.5. I got Carlos looking at me, so if I tell him lies, he'll give me an elbow. So that's going to finish us in even a more negative situation. Based on the vote that this city council just made, all the expenditures we just made were 11.9 short now. That's today's figure. So, in looking at this, the last time we had a general fund side of the ledger in balance was in 2021.
2021, 22, FY 22. Well, I had some help from the finance department, and they pulled total budgets from FY 10 to present. And the last time we were totally in balance with our budget, the whole thing, top to bottom, was FY 15. We actually finished it in black, $1,400,000. If we're serious about taking care of our employees, and we've got a bunch of dedicated employees, they demonstrated in October, they demonstrated every day. Fire, police, our solid waste folks, everybody went the extra mile, and I appreciate it. But I can't take care of them the way I would like to take care of them if we continue to have these big deficits at the end of the year. Just can't happen. Can't get blood out of the turnip. So I want to tell the employees that I'm going to do everything in my power to take care of them best I can, given our budget restraints. The reason why I picked the 2% number for this was we're halfway through the fiscal year. Everybody's got a little savings. They can work a little harder, maybe come up with it if they're below the 2%. And going forward, and this is roughly $1 million, Mr. Mayor, off of our budget. $1 million doesn't go very far when you're 11, it looks like you're going to be 11 million underwater. We've got to get our expenditures under control. Our income, our gross receipts income is flat. I don't know what to do about that. We're working on it. Hopefully, NCAR will bring some additional gross receipts revenues and other revenue sources. And I'm not sure exactly what Beltlines is going to do for our gross receipts side of it. Hopefully, that'll help. But we've got to take a serious look at our expenditures. We've got to figure out a way to live within our means so we can take care of our city and our city's workforce. I'm done. I yield.
Council Lady Helms.
So in 2021 and 2022, they were taking money from the enterprise funds and putting in the general fund. Is that could be one way or positive?
21, 22. Yes, and that's one of the things they did back in the day, was they were robbing enterprise funds and shoring up the general fund.
So we didn't, in reality, we did not have that profit because it was taken from the enterprise funds.
21, 22, let me think a minute. A good bit of that 6-1, I think, could be from losing those funds.
The first numbers you gave for 2025 were the same as 2024, but then you gave me 47.5 revenue and 55 million in expenditures. Is that the real number?
Which one, I'm sorry?
For 2025, fiscal year 2025.
I'm sorry, you're speaking too fast.
Fiscal year 2025, originally the numbers you gave were the same as 2024, but then you gave a revenue of 47.5 million and expenditure of 55 point.
No, the 25 figures, 24, 25, was estimated at 47.8 and expenditures at 55.7. I'll verify that here, just hold on a second.
Because in finance, the other day, the budget we were given, they were 46% of our budget, and we're 6 months in.
Right. That was for total expense was 50.7.
That was just payroll.
And our revenue was 41.7. And since we have been in this fiscal year, those numbers have changed. You haven't seen that, there you go. And that's where I get to 1.1.
Because what concerns me, and I understand exactly where you're coming from, is we can't keep moving like this, but we're talking about taking for public safety too. They're already shorthanded, they're already having equipment problems.
Yes.
And if we require them, because the way the wording is, it says they shall.
Their equipment problem, we've already dealt with. It's an insurance deal for the most part. Some of it, I had a discussion with the fire chief today of an apparatus that he's looking at that I think is a good deal. But we can't keep spending money. At the same time, our debt load has continued to climb. We've got $8 million coming down the pipe, or a good big portion of it coming down the pipe with the renovation of the water towers out there. And I can't remember if that was a 30-70 or a 40-60 loan versus grant situation. I just don't remember, but I remember it was about $8 million. And that's not on the books yet. What has occurred is that the dewatering facility at the wastewater treatment plant is now online. And so what was at the start of this fiscal year in the purple numbers, and I'm sorry if everybody has a copy of this, shows another $8 million, $9 million coming on to the payment schedule that wasn't contained in our current budget.
So that's what explains, because we went from 50.7 million to 55.7 million in expenditures
From when to when?
from 24 to 25.
24 to 25, we started out at 50.7 both years, and then current is now 55.7 to 47.8 on the revenue side. That's based on anticipated action by the city council that we've already done.
So our revenue's pretty much flat, but the expenditures are going up. Is that because of inflation, you think?
Right.
Councilor, where do you get those numbers? Because that's something new that I have not seen. I don't think any member on this council has seen. I understand your $58 million number because our total expense that we budgeted was $50 million.
Well,
But now you're talking $58 million, which is new news to me.
well,
And I don't think any of the other members of this council knows anything about $58 million in approved expenditures that we did. I didn't approve $58 million in a general fund expenditure.
you approved
Approved $50 million.
55.
$50 million. Right off here.
No, I just, let me see. You're in the current book?
25-year budget summary, top page, top line, total expense, $50 million.
57,771.93.
Well, I must have a wrong budget.
That's 23, 24. Right there.
It says mine says here with total expense, $50,760,000.
50,760,597.
Correct. You just said we were spending $58 million,
Well,
but we're not.
to date, we've spent more than that.
We're 6 months in and we spend more than that.
Yeah, Council, I'm just asking, I have not seen those numbers.
Well, I
It says-
just got them today.
Well, it would be nice if it was shared with us so that we could all be talking about the same page and be talking about this. But I do have some things to say about your 2%.
Okay.
And I appreciate what you're trying to do here because we've worked hard on this budget. It's not our budget, it's the city councilor, it's the city manager's budget, which we approve every year. And we've approved his budget for this year. And I appreciate that you're trying to find some savings in here now, but we're almost 8 months into this current year budget. And I hate to use this word, but you're defunding the police department and you're defunding every department by 2%. And I'm not going, and I'm going to tell you, I did some work of my own. When I saw the payroll numbers that were presented to us at Finance Committee, that we're actually, in the departments that are coming out of the general fund, we're 7.5% below what the budget number was. We're $2 million below the personnel expense for all those funds. Well, the $1 million you're looking for, it's already here. So I cannot support this late in the game. If you want to talk about budget savings, the time is to talk about it when we do it next year. I know we've got some items that we do not have any idea what our flood costs are going to be, and we're going to have to be prepared to handle some of those. But this raises $1 million. I'm not going to put the stress on the PD, the fire department, parks, streets. They've already taken some stress. They've operated correct me if I'm not right, Mr. Cole, $2.8 million in expenditures that we have paid out of our funds to cover flood damages, correct, that we're waiting for, but we recorded them in our budget as expenditures.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Correct.
So we have $2.8 million at some point in time we're going to get back. Or thereabouts, something to 75%. So I'm just going to wrap it up and say, I cannot support your 2% based on being this late in the year, and I'm not going to take money away from the fire department, I'm not going to take money away from the police department. We've already approved this $50 million in expenditures. If we want to talk about those kind of things, we should have been talking about them a long time ago when we approved the budget. And we're ahead of the game on gross receipts, not by much, but we're ahead of the game on those as well. We've got public safety funds money we can transfer out and do some things with. There's some things we can do besides cutting their budgets, which you've already approved. So that's all I have to say, and I'm just not going to, I'm not going to support this issue.
Well, that's fine. The trick on getting reimbursed from FEMA and recovering all those costs that everybody's been out, solid waste is out a bunch of money. We've lost a bunch of equipment that's going to be covered with insurance for the most part. And if we get it recovered in this fiscal year, then we're all good. If we're not, if we don't get it reimbursed this fiscal year, and Ms. Call, I don't know where we are in the negotiation with FEMA. Does it look like we'll get some relief before the end of the year, fiscal year?
Councilor Corn, I would not put my money on that. I would not put my money on it. We are doing everything in our power to do that. This is a big game for all of us. None of us have been through a disaster and worked with FEMA before. I've heard rumors. I don't like to go by the rumor mill when I'm making thoughts and decisions, but I would not bet on it.
Well, and I know we've got some legislation pending in Santa Fe that'll kick in. It's just that the picture I'm looking at right now is not really good. And if I recall, during our budget discussions last year, we didn't talk about cutting anything. We just talked about going back to 23, which was a deficit year for us. And I made the comment, you were there, what makes you think it's going to work in 25 if it didn't work in 23? Going into the past is not a way to the future. You need to learn from those experiences and try not to repeat them. That's what you need to do. And with the president and his guys cutting off all these grants and stuff, I don't know what's going to happen. Neither does anybody else. We've covered all the money up to now by moving things out of other line items. We're not completely broke, but we're headed in a place where I'm not comfortable, and we need to make this is just a resolution. We'll see. May not work. I don't know. We can always amend. This is just a resolution. We can amend this at any meeting that we have. And you made my point. The payroll is already above that number in savings. And I appreciate you bringing that out. There's other departments we reviewed that are already above that 2%. That's the reason why I chose this number instead of a 5% or a 10% or some real number out there. We just need to slow down, take a breath. The flood is an unfortunate event. We're going to figure it out. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of patience. And we need to, I mean, we heard from a constituent that I don't know, under the rules as I understand it, we can't help a private property owner. Can't do it. Because that gets into anti-donation clause and all sorts of things that we just heard about in our meeting with the state auditor just a minute ago. It just, in my opinion, we've missed a couple of cycles. We're getting out of control on our expenditures. And the other thing about this budget, in August, we had to amend it, $1.4 million because stuff that we were obligated for slipped through the cracks. 1.45795513. So I'll leave it to you, to your own conscience, which way you want to go on this thing. This is just an idea. We've talked about it in the budget committee many times about what it's going to take to get us out of this. Can't be done overnight. It's going to take a concerted effort over several years to get the revenue out of our budgets.
Is that all, Councilor Court?
I'm done.
Councilor Cabinet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Corn, I know that we budgeted the 50,000, whatever that figure was that I have in front of me that Councilor Hildebrand was talking about. But in the process, because those things weren't in the 23 budget, the adjusted budgets that we've had to do over the last 6 months, I'm assuming is what got us to that $57 or $58 million figure that you're talking about now.
A lot of it, yes.
Well, because that wasn't budgeted in the original budget.
No, we've been making amendments to this budget all the time.
That's my point. And those are a lot of those things, whether it's planning and zoning at the SunWest building or some of the other things that weren't in the 2023 budget.
Correct.
Okay, so that being said, and I'll get our council to help me talk about amending this deal here in just a second, this resolution. But I made this statement in finance. I mean, I spent 27, 28 years working for the city of Roswell, running Cahoon Park Pool and everything. And we always came to the end of the summer and they said, hey, you know, you've got this amount of money left in your budget, you need to go out and spend it, because if you don't spend it, you're going to lose it. And I get that understanding. And so what I'd like to do, and I put this amendment to this, is ask for our department heads to look at where they can save money instead of making a demand on 2%, okay? Instead of going out and saying, we gotta spend this or we're gonna lose this. What we need to do is see where you guys can find some savings in your departments, whether it's the PD, the fire department, park and recs, wastewater, wherever, because there's no minimal things that, you know, you go out and buy paper, go buy stapler, go buy whatever so that you spend your budget, okay? Let's look at it as a team effort to where our department heads look to where they can save some money at the end of the budget instead of spending it because it's there. I mean, that's one of the thinking processes that I've seen government has over the time is that, okay, our budget's here. I was having this conversation with Councilor Johnson the other day. He said, well, I just go and tell my guys I'm cutting the budget by 5%, so you better figure out what you're doing. This right here, for me in particular, is an ask to our department heads, see where you guys can save some money for us And let's come back with a solid budget for the 25-26 year, where we don't have all these budget adjustments. We're always gonna have them, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But we gotta make sure that we cross all our Ts, dot all our Is when we put that budget together, and don't have something that we go, oh, I forgot about that, or that wasn't in, and have to do all these budget adjustments. Let's come back with a solid budget for the 25-26 year. Get our guys, the people that are the rock of Roswell, with our wastewater, our PD, our fire department, wastewater, all of our guys, that's the foundation of Roswell, guys, and we appreciate everything y'all do. Okay? We just gotta get it right and do it right, and that would be all I have to say about that. So, is there an amendment that I can put on this, Counselor Antema, that can help make it where it's not 2%, but a budget savings, or attempt to make 2%? What would that amendment look like?
You could put shall, after the word shall that you're referring to, just add the words best efforts.
Okay.
Or shall make best efforts.
All right. Well, I would propose that I make an amendment to this resolution as stated by Councilor Antema.
Where do you want to put your shall and which, whereas? I'll just right here, shall make.
Mr. Mayor, the way all departments utilizing monies from Fund 1101 shall make best efforts to maintain. Is how it's worded.
Shall make. Okay. Councilman Kevin, you were making a motion to add the word shall maintain best efforts to, after the word shall, and the.
Make best efforts.
Make best efforts to maintain.
To save the 2% saving, the way I read it.
Mr. Mayor.
I don't object.
Okay. Yes, okay. So Councilor Corn is happy with that, okay? Is that a second, Councilor Corn, or is that?
Councilor Cortez,
Oh, Councilor Cortez.
I'll jump in.
What's the new guy do?
New guy, jump in.
Well, I'd like to make a comment, discussion.
Yes.
Can we still discuss?
Okay, well, let me just, okay, you're next.
Second the motion.
Well, yeah. If we need someone to second the motion before we, does anyone want to second the motion? So, and if not, we probably don't need to discuss it. If you want to second it, you can second it and then discuss it.
I got you.
Or if you don't.
Understood, thank you. I'll wait.
All right, he's gonna wait. Does anyone want, is there a second to the motion? Okay, seeing none, we're back on the regular bill. And on that, I have next on my list, you have not spoken, would you like to speak now? Then, yes, you haven't spoken yet. Next, for a second time, I have Council Lady Halverson on the list to talk. After you, sure.
Mr. Mayor. This one.
You're good. You can use both of them.
Thank you, yeah, no, okay. Well, I think I appreciate what Councilor Corn is attempting to do, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Cabin. I'm honestly the newest person on the city council, so I think what I have concerns about with the resolution is that it's clear in the short time I've been here talking with departments is obviously we're at a place where we have to weight departments. We don't want to talk about that, but obviously some departments have more urgency than others. and we all know that. You know, we're all on the same team. We all work for the city of Roswell. I would certainly offer up 2% of my city council pay and my trip to municipal league in the effort, and without having any qualms doing that. I think what I don't like about the percentage is it is, and I understand how Mr. Korn came with the percentage. To me, it doesn't feel like it's not equal, because every election is different and every department is different. I think I would prefer to see a number and then put the city administrator on the task with all departments to get creative and come up with a number and try to hit that number. And then can we hit that number? I don't know, but you know, not all departments, 2% of everyone's budget's not the same. And different departments have different requirements, situations they're in, and frankly, different weighting of importance in critical junctures that we have to consider. So that's my comments on that for everyone. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Got Councilor Johnson is for a first time.
Yes, and Councilor Korn, I appreciate this gesture as well. But I'd like to point out, at the beginning of the fiscal year, each and every department had a business plan. And everything in their business plan was put into place of how they were going to expenditure their funds throughout the year. And then we've got this big old flood that came along out of nowhere. And it pretty much rocked everybody's business plan. Everybody had to give up a lot of stuff. You had to kill a lot of projects. I mean, I can go on till 9 o'clock tonight telling you all the things you guys had to give up. Do we need savings? Yes, absolutely. Do we need extra funds? Absolutely. I just think this is not a good time to look at it, and I think if in fact we do look at it, it needs to be by department, and maybe a proposal by the city manager on how we want to address it. But right now, I think it's a bad timing all the way around. And I yield. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else for the first time? Seeing none, Councilor Halverson.
So, Mr. Korn, I do appreciate everything you've done. I know you're trying to do your best for the city, but first off, we already went to the 2023 budget. And nationwide, I know we had, a 7% inflation rate, and I don't know what we had for New Mexico, but in that audit, the lady was saying New Mexico is even worse. So I think they've already been cut with a lot of money that they were planning to use. So probably in 6 months or so, you're gonna come back at all of us and say, I told you so. We're in a really bad place, but I think right now, like he said, with the flooding, with already that are being cut with their budget, I think it's just it's really bad timing. And I'm like you, I want a balanced budget, but we also need a lot of city services that these city employees are providing, and if we have to cut their budget, we'll see those fail. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? I must say one thing about this, and then we'll go back to the motion that's there. All our medium-sized cities in the city, in the whole state, are having real economic times ever since they had some of the cutbacks we've had before, and we are grossly underfunded compared to the state and the larger cities. You're going to see more and more when you look about how flat our revenues can get. You know, when you see those trucks with a check mark on there, or UPS, you need to stop and realize that how much of that money is going out through either Amazon and back to in UPS. You need to look at that, because if you look at Roswell, I mean, we don't have a men's store here. We don't have. It's hard for any dress shop. It's hard for anybody really to make ends meet now. And they're the only ones that are paying the local property taxes to support people and to support the police. I mean, that's where it all is those gross receipts taxes. And so, you know, so we need to look at that. But I think there's a greater effect because of Amazon that and what's going on, you know, on just the way things are going now with the shape of the economy and people buying stuff. It's just too easy to sit there and look at your little funny little kids look at your phone and order whatever you want over Amazon and have it delivered by UPS or Amazon itself. And it's only gonna get worse. And as I sat there and I came back from Baltimore and I see, you know, the Amazon truck just delivering nothing but diapers. Nothing but diapers. And they can outsell people driving it up, delivering your diapers right through your door in Baltimore. So I mean, there's some, from Dexter and Hagerman's all the way up, you get to Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and they get a lot of other stuff we don't get. And you just have to look. Okay. Any further comments? Okay, so now we're back on a motion. Let's see, your motion never passed, Councilman Cavan.
Second.
Pardon?
Never got a second.
Never got a second, so it did not pass. So we're back on the original motion to adopt, is it resolution 20, oh no, this is it. 25-08, adoption of the resolution 25-8, instructing the general fund departments to maintain a 2% savings. Okay, it takes a majority of 6 members have to vote for this. And if the clerk would call the roll.
Counselor Arnold? No. Counselor Cortez?
No.
Counselor Halverson?
No.
Counselor Moore?
No.
Counselor Marujo?
No.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Counselor Hildenbrand?
No.
Counselor Cabin?
No.
Counselor Johnson?
No.
Motion fails 1-8.
Motion fails. Okay, next thing we have on our agenda is item 27. An ordinance to authorize the advertising of a public hearing for consider the proposed ordinance 25-0101, amending the municipal campaign finance code. Councilman Hildebrand. It's
219. I'll get there.
it's right there at 218. Actually, 218 is not coming.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's no problem.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I want to authorize to advertise for a public hearing to consider proposed ordinance 25-01, amending the municipal campaign finance code.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Hildebrand, seconded by Councilman Corn. Okay, Mr. Eichelman, would you care to explain?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, councilors, so this is just to vote to advertise. This is just has some clarifying amendments to our current campaign finance ordinance. In particular, instead of somebody seeking office being a candidate, it would be somebody who's either filed to run or they or their campaign committee have taken $500 or more or expended $500 or more seeking the office. So this just kind of clarifies, I think, a little bit better definition of who a candidate is. We're amending, it is a clarifying amendment to the definition of political committees to include the phrase campaign committee. My position is campaign committees are already included, but we thought we'd clear that up. And then we've also put in a floor to become a political committee. So political committees that expend 200 or less are not subject to any requirements. You know, it just seems we don't need to be tracking something that small. And then finally, some amendments, clarifying amendment to the applicable, or actually a substantive amendment to applicability. Instead of a committee whose purpose, you know, based on a further review of case law, it seems a better statement to the law that anyone who intentionally, through a committee, gives in support of a need to adopt or defeat a municipal candidate or ballot item would be subject to the law, However, we're clarifying that this is not for issue expenditures or contributions. In other words, if a political committee were to donate to a candidate, that's definitely a reportable action. But in federal case law, when it's somebody simply saying, vote for candidates who don't like tax increases or like tax increases, that's an issue-related topic, and we do not seek to use that as an actual reportable option, because that would fall under paid political advertising.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Angela, or any questions about this resolution 2025-01? Seeing no questions, anyone care to speak for or against it? For a public hearing? None, so if the clerk, I would remind you it takes 6 members. The clerk would call the roll.
Counselor Arnold? Yes. Counselor Cortez?
Aye.
Counselor Halverson?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
No.
Counselor Marujo?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Counselor Hildenbrand?
Aye.
Counselor Cavan?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-1.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I regret to inform you that now it's time for our city manager to make your reports and announcements. Mr. Cole, would you please make your reports and announcements?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Jennings, members of the council. So of course, you've got some administratively executed leases there in front of you. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. I take any questions on those. And barring any questions on those, I'd like to just give you an update. What we've been up to for the last month since our last council meeting with the snow that was here. Again, we mirror the mayor's comments, and thanks to our brothers and sisters at Chaves County Commissioners and Administration for making these administrative commission meeting spaces open and available for our city council meetings for the interim, and we're not quite sure when we'll be able to get back into our civic center. So thank you to the county. As you know, the city's national championship air race pilots, the pilot presidents made a trip out to Roswell a few weeks ago to get their first pass and review of Roswell's in-car race course. And from all accounts with the pilots, the course will not only be faster, but safer. That's thanks to the long course straightaways, the airspace, and the flat topography out at our air center. Planning and construction of the race events grandstands began with the completed land survey, soil sampling, engineered design elements for the location on the airfield, and we'll move forward in direct collaboration with, of course, our new airport manager, Bobby Thompson, FAA, New Mexico CID for the permitting, and the general contractors working together to bring this one-of-a-kind event to its new southeast New Mexico home. Again, we'll be looking for some direct and hopefully quick communications from our FAA and CID partners as Ms. Thompson made us all aware. Rebar and materials are getting ready to come in, and we'd like to get started on those grandstands immediately. And as also Ms. Thompson mentioned, we'll be planning a groundbreaking ceremony. It's a big deal for this community, and you will certainly all be invited. We thought we were ready to go there as soon as next week. But again, we're communicating back and forth with our FAA counterparts, and need to get some resolution there as soon as possible to move that forward. Exciting things continue to happen to move forward in Roswell in terms of manufacturing and jobs, and the mayor and several city officials turned out January 16th to tour the Built Wise Modular Home Manufacturing plant located and being renovated and expanded at what was formerly the TMC Nova Bus manufacturing facility some 20 or 30 years ago. So that place has been sitting out there, and we're glad to see it getting updated. The updated facility tour was capped off by a tour of 2 completed Built-Wise showcase homes located at the residential home development just south of our new surgical center's construction. And you can drive by there and see those homes. They are beautiful. These high-quality homes are amazing, not only in the quality of their construction, but in the uniformity of their time, cost, and waste reduction via their innovative method to produce these homes in a climate-controlled facility along with the material storage and waste that's produced. We really believe that this will be a very cost-effective way to address affordable housing, not only in New Mexico, but in our surrounding states. And we see a lot of demand for this going forward. So we're very excited for Built-Wise and appreciate the invitation to tour the facility and tour their showcase homes. As you know, the 57th session of the New Mexico legislature kicked off January 21st. This year's is a 60-day session that will end March 22nd at noon, and pending the governor's action on April 11th. And this year's EDC legislative reception in Santa Fe was widely attended. Our governor also stopped by in support of Roswell and Chaves County's efforts for economic development and recovery from the floods. And I think it's safe to say we all had a lot of fun and great turnout there. So thank you for that. The city has also been working back and forth with its regular and special audit teams, as we just met in executive session to discuss. To conclude these audits, our city has made great progress in cleaning up the financial affairs of the city's activities and managed operations as we heard, and as we are allowed to release those reports to the public, we will certainly do so. But this special audit, as you know, has been 2 years in the making, and is going to highlight a lot of the activity that was going on in the city of Roswell as we go forward. So it's been a lot of work to clean this up, as you know, and appreciate our auditors and special auditors and the state auditor. Again, I've never seen a state auditor actually come down to congratulate a governing authority for stepping up in this way and getting this cleaned up. So that's a pretty big deal. On the disaster recovery side of things, of course, we're meeting with FEMA daily, sometimes 3 times a day, with different groups of FEMA and Homeland Security and our consultants and our insurers and everybody that contributes to this process, and it's a lot. The city of Roswell recently submitted its identified $259 million damaged inventory assessments projects to FEMA and meeting its February 10th date to submit those projects. I will tell you that I did go ahead and ask or request in writing from FEMA a 30-day extension for any projects that may come along that we have not identified. We lose nothing, but we potentially gain everything by doing that. So we have requested a 30-day extension for public assistance application related to damages. And just kind of as an example, we were not able to access DeBremen Stadium right behind the museum. That is leased to the school district for $1 a year. So we recently gained access to that facility, had them take off the locks and had our engineers inspect it. And we are waiting to hear back from their insurer. The city's on the hook for the structure, the bleachers, the walls, those types of things. The lessor or the school district, the lessee, is on the hook for the maintenance and the fields and those types of things. And of course, they have an insurer through CCMSI as well. So we encouraged and we're glad to gain access to that facility. And we will put the restrooms as a structural component on our application with FEMA going forward. As you may or may not know, recently, we've been working back and forth with the state, the county, the feds, on these waterways. And, you know, as part of the FEMA application process, you have to identify chain of custody or ownership. And so without that ownership, right-of-way access becomes difficult, and identifying projects from the project holder, whether it's city, county, state, through a FEMA application becomes impossible. So we've been working that back and forth to try and identify those waterways, hence the additional declaration of disaster here that allows the state to pay for those waterway cleanups. I will tell you, if you drive by the zoo at Peppermint Park, you're going to notice that they have made real progress, and that's the bottleneck of this thing. And of course, we're trying to get out ahead of the monsoon season. Though, you know, I say it always hits just like clockwork. May 24th is typically your high school graduations, and we get hit with rain almost every year. So we want to get ahead of that. They pulled a lot of that stuff out of the Spring River Zoo. They're working their way. They've also just further due to the east at our wastewater treatment facility, and they are clearing that. They've gotten up to about, not quite to Garden Street, but right behind the building at Glover's Meatpacking Plant at this point. As Councilor Howard, Mayor Pro Tem Howerson mentioned, part of that is that's the waterway that was most heavily damaged. That's the one most likely to take a lot of water in the monsoon season, and that's the one that's tied in to our trail system. We've got to get that cleared. First step is to clear it, then you can rebuild what they call riprap, the walls on the side. So first step is clearing it. Again, the state, particularly State Homeland Security, has been fabulous. Actually, everybody has, FEMA as well. But I can't thank our state partners enough, and I know a big push of that is coming from the governor as well, to make sure we get Roswell and Chaves County taken care of, and that is going very, very well. Relevant updates, the Small Business Administration helped out, of course, during the disaster. They've been here I think they've been here the longest. They've been out at ENMUR's Business Center for their operating center. They've also been at the DRC located at the mall. As of right now, they show $6.8 million in loans to 85 home type loans, $932,000 to 14 different businesses in terms of loans, and $348,000 to what they identify as 2 economic injury type loans. And so the SBA, again, is going to close physically listed site of operations today at 5 p.m., although businesses may still submit economic injury type disaster loans online at sba.gov/disaster. This application deadline in particular is August 1st, 2025. Something I want to highlight, and then I'll get us at, we're done as far as my comments. Volunteers from the AmeriCorps are now here in Roswell and Chaves County to assist flood debris cleanup, including mucking and gutting, fence repair, sandbagging, roof tarping, and other cleanup activities such as bringing the debris to curbside. They're going to be here for 30 days and then they're gone. So we want to make sure and get this out to the public. We put some information out to the public so far, and we'll continue doing that. I do want to make sure, I know we've got our newspaper here, that they get the relevant information. Residents can call the state's disaster case management line at 505-670-4662 and select option 3 to request assistance from the AmeriCorps team. Again, they're here in town, and kudos to Dr. Sean Powell for putting them up operationally at his campus. They're in hotels, but they're operating out of his campus, and as you know, he's always fantastic to work with. This is a real opportunity for residents to get some help. I'm thinking maybe some elderly, maybe some handicapped residents that can't get stuff out to their curbside. This would be a real opportunity for them to get some help doing that. And of course, we have until February 28th. You notice we've got the big contractor that's also clearing the waterways, that's Ash Britt. They are also doing daily runs with their grappler trucks, their large grappler trucks to get that stuff out. So February 28th, that will be done. Curbside pickup will be done. And of course, we'll be asking residents not to put it curbside after February 28th. So again, real opportunity to take advantage of the help that AmeriCorps is bringing to the
What was
table.
that number again?
Yes, ma'am. 505-670-4662. And just as a reminder, again, it was mentioned earlier, Sunday, February 16th at 1:30 p.m., there will be a dedication of the monument honoring the 8 men that were lost in the construction at the Atlas missile sites at our airport in the front of the terminal as you walk up to the terminal building. Mr. Matthews and I were talking to Quentin Miller today, and interestingly enough, his dad helped construct those sites and knew those gentlemen as well. So it's a part of our history, and he also said that they only ever put one missile in all those silos. They constructed all those silos and only put one missile on them. And I said, well, just enough to put a target on Roswell's back. And so I stand for any questions.
Anyone have any questions of Manny? Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to point out, we do have a couple new department heads. We have Andrew and Steve back there, and they're kind of sneaking in. Bobby, I want to say thank you. Welcome to the council and welcome to Roswell. I want to thank you for your diligence. You found us a lot of money pretty quick. So just do that every month or else it's going to go back.
No pressure.
And one other one, Tony, thank you. We've been through an awful lot of problems in our finances. And as you well know, after going in there, you can see what's happened. And, you have a tough job to do. But I want to thank you for standing up and taking the challenge. I mean, it's like when we started, I told everyone I'm here, we have some tough decisions to make. And it can be very stressful to do that. And I appreciate you standing up and standing there with us. I want to thank you for doing that. And it's not going to be easy, but we're here to right the ship, and we've got it afloat now. We're just looking for a motor, and so because then we won't have to row so hard. So that's good. And to the council, after going in that room and everything, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and loving this city. I think the way we all do. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart of riding the ship. Thank you. We're really where we can see the light into the tunnel. Hell, we might almost be out of the tunnel. So, to all our staff, everybody, thank you. Thank you for being here and loving this town. Thank you.